Yo guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the Forsaken Easter egg and how to speedrun it if you so choose. I'm not trying to waste your time, so let's get straight into it. So when I first spawn in, I immediately go activate the portal on the other side of the spawn area. Once you activate it, it's going to start a 30-second lockdown, and you cannot leave that area until the lockdown is ended. But I stay here until about around 9 to 10 to get around 15 to 20,000 points, so you can buy Stamina Up Jug and just open the map in one swoop without having to stop. And I am playing during the pumpkin update, so I'm going to get a little bit more points than you normally would, but the amount that you normally would is almost there anyway, so it shouldn't make too much of a difference for you guys. Once you've gotten enough points, around like 15,000, I like to first spawn in and grab Jug and Stamina, but our main objective here is to go through the portal and grab the parts to build the teleporter, so we can end the lockdown and we can start the cutscene for the Easter egg that I do here. And buying Jug and Stamina Up is not required, but I just do it to speed up my gameplay and for extra protection and speed. Once you have gone through the teleporter and entered the next area, the first thing what we need to do is grab the part from the video store. There's 3 different spawn points for this part, and it could spawn right here on these boxes, right here on this metal shelf, and right there on that box. After you've collected that part, you want to take a left and go over here to the cinema, and it can spawn in 3 different locations. One is this guy's hands right here. The second is next to that snack bar right there. And the third is on that little bench. Once you have grabbed that part, you want to take a right to go to the TV store right here. The other one was like a movie store. You can spawn right there on that shelf, right there on that little table, and right there on that shelf. And once you pick that up, you want to go over to Burger Town. Once you're there, the 3 spawn points for the last item you need to build a teleport is right there next to that pop machine, right there behind the counter, and right there on that box below the American flag. Once you have that, jump through this window and go over here and build the teleporter and teleport through it.
Will show us where he is hidden, or suffer the consequences.
Once you have built the teleporter and you've gone through it, you want to go forward over here to this little marker and open this door. And then once you've opened that, you want to go under here to where it says teleporter, and abomination will spawn as soon as you get too close to it, which you can use ring of fire for, and I'm using my gallow right here. So it spawns in, wait to pop it right about there, and then start shooting it. If you shoot before, it won't be affected, and then go through the portal. Once through the teleporter, go over here to hit this button to lift the lockdown. And then to start the Easter egg, go over here to this button right there and hit that button to start a cutscene. This cutscene that has started is not required to watch all the way through. You could skip it, and I'm just going to skip it here, but you can watch the full thing if you want to. Once done with the cutscene, there are 3 different parts that we now need to get. There is an Ethereum neutralizer canister that we have to get from a lockdown, a little TV that we have to get from the TV store, and another container thing that you have to get by running an abomination through the wall, and you can get these in any order, but the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how to get the TV from the TV store. And first you need to come to this arcade and then go to this arcade cabinet with dead wire on your gun. And then once you're there, get a zombie to get near the arcade cabinet and then shoot the zombie. This will cause the arcade cabinet to charge up and become usable. Once you've activated the arcade cabinet and ended round, pay 2,000 points, spawn this little car, and follow my path here in the TV store. Go behind the counter, and there's going to be a little metal grate that you need to knock off with the charges of the R60. Once you do, drive through it, jump, and then explode. And then you can come over here to the TV shop, and the TV will be through the wall just to your right that you can pick up right there. This next part for the Ethereum neutralizer that I'm going to be showing you is the abomination one that he has to run to the wall to get. Follow my path here, go through the stairs and then onto the other end. And then run past the crystal to this little end thing here. And then once you're here, take a right, and then an abomination should spawn in front of you if you wait a second. Once that abomination spawns in front of you, get it to charge at you, and then move out of the way, and then it'll hit the wall, and then you'll get your next part of your Ethereum neutralizer. For the next part of the Ethereum neutralizer, I'd strongly recommend that you have the crystal axe on you since you're going to need it for the other parts of the Easter egg, or you at least have some perks and a papped gun like the Gallo M16 or whatever you want to use, and just armor, everything you need to basically survive, because this next part's going to be kind of brutal and it's going to be a lockdown, but I'll explain how to get the crystal axe or different ways you can get it later in this video. Once you feel like you are prepared for this next part of the Ethereum neutralizer, follow my steps by the PhD zipline, and then go down here to fuel processing, and then there is some buttons that you'll need to push, but the instructions are different for 1 player through 4 player. The buttons are right there, right there, right there, and right there. If you're playing 2 through 4 player, you'll need everyone to stand by a button and press at the same time for the lockdown to start. But on solo, you just have to press the button once, and there's a cool little neat trick you do with Ethernet right here, where you can activate it and then run out before the lockdown starts, like I just did right there in the gameplay. And then you don't even have to kill anything, you can just run off and do whatever you want for about like 2 minutes, and then come back and pick up the part that the lockdown drops. But if you are on 2 player through 4 player, I do not think you can do that skip, and you have to just endure the lockdown and wait for it to end to grab the part. If you are playing with multiple people in your game and you started the lockdown, or you're on solo and chose to do the lockdown and just stay in there, to end the lockdown, there are 4 big tanks next to you that the buttons are attached to, and once you start, you'll see a little purple wall that will basically confine you into that area for the lockdown. And to end the lockdown, you need to get enough kills for the lockdown to basically end. And this lockdown is not easy, so I would recommend highly setting, not fully setting up, but at least getting a good survivability chance, because this lockdown is not as easy as you probably think it is. But once you've gotten enough kills for the lockdown to end, there'll be a certain quote and you'll know it's done.
Catastrophic failure. Fuel processing offline.
Once you hear that quote, you'll know the lockdown is done, and then you can either on solo go back to where you were, or if you're playing with multiple people, go and pick up that part, and that's the 3 parts that you need for the Ethereum neutralizer as shown in the top right corner. Once you have those 3 pieces and you need the crystal axe for this step, go over to these crystals and shoot the little ball things with the gun form of your crystal axe variant, and then melee it to open it up. And once you open it up, there's going to be a little small crystal that'll spawn inside it. That'll spawn an abomination as soon as you pick it up. Once you pick it up, throw that little crystal in the abomination's mouth like you just saw in the gameplay, and then you can immediately start killing the abomination, and it'll drop that little red crystal, and then we need to do this 2 more times. The first one is over here at the amplifier as just shown in the gameplay. To get to the second crystal location, go to PAP and go by the PhD zipline and this zipline, and go through this portal that will take you to spawn. And then once you're at spawn, do the same process, switch to the gun form of your variant, shoot those little 3 crystal orbs, and once those are all shot and you melee the crystal like just shown in the gameplay, pick the little crystal up and then throw it into the abomination's mouth. Kill the abomination by either swinging your axe, shooting your axe, or throwing this little blade thing that does a lot of damage to the abomination. Or any way that you can kill it, pick it up, and then we'll go do the final crystal right now. The final crystal location is on the building on top of Quick Revive right here that you just saw me go to. And once you're here, again, shoot the balls, break the crystals, pick up the little crystal that it spawns, throw it in the abomination's mouth, kill the abomination, and then we can move on to boss fight. Once you've picked up the 3rd crystal, go into the middle Main Street building next to where Quick Revive is and Beach Pizza and all this stuff, and go to this little crafting station and then craft this little device that we've been building all game, which is the Ethereum neutralizer, which is built of the 3 parts that we got earlier, and then we got the 3 little crystals to fuel the Ethereum neutralizer. It's going to have a bunch of dialogue, but once this dialogue ends, you'll know it's time for the boss fight to start.
Watch who you're shooting! The gas line!
And thus ended the tale of Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
We need to get moving. Grab the device.
Once you hear Weaver say the line, grab the device, you can go over to that little crafting table and press your interact button and then start this little like walkthrough thing that you need to do. The basis of this walkthrough thing, what it is you have to escort this little Ethereum neutralizer to the end of this hallway, but it needs to be refilled by these orange crystals, like the one I just shot, or the one that's in front of me to the right. And every so often, the little Ethereum neutralizer thing will stop, and then you need to go outside the orb, pick up the crystals, and then put it back in, and it'll keep going. For the little Ethereum neutralizer thing to be escorted, everyone has to be in that little orb thing. If anyone's stepping outside of it or outside the safe zone, it won't move until everyone is back in the safe zone. So try to be in the safe zone as much as possible so this step gets done as fast as possible, or as fast as you can, or just safely so you don't have to worry about stepping outside the orb anymore. Once you get towards the end of the walkthrough, like shown just here in this little area, you'll see the crystals stop. The Ethereum neutralizer will basically break down, which is supposed to happen, and you'll have an ammo crate, pack-a-punch, the Wonder Fizz, a crafting table, and an armor station if you need it. I would recommend grabbing as much perks as you can, having your axe at least PAP 2, having full armor, and make sure that you have mule kick, so once you buy Casimirs, you'll get 2 for the price of 1, and then once you go over to the door and hold square, the boss fight will start. The main premise of this boss fight to kill the Forsaken is to break his armor and then to basically fill Maxis's energy level. And once her energy level is full, she'll charge up these little energy cannons that you see right in front of me in the gameplay. And then once they're charged, you basically shoot at his weak spot or the armor that you just broke, and you rinse and repeat until all 4 of the places where you shoot the cannon has been shot, and then the Forsaken will basically die. The first armor that you need to hit is his shoulders right here. And how you fill up Maxis is just staying under her and getting zombies to walk under her and then killing them in that little circle. So it'll fill Maxis. Once it's the cannon charged, you can go to shoot shoulder like you just did right there. And then you basically rinse and repeat for this Maxis cycle. You fill her up just like you do this. And watch out for these little orbs that will spawn. They can hurt pretty bad if you can't get out of the way fast enough. But once she's charged up again, like it shows, just shoot the energy cannon at his shoulder again so you can do more damage, and then once you do that, a little cutscene will play and it'll basically take you to this new area, and it's not your game crashing, but it's just the cutscene starting. I'll show you what I mean.
You are so eager to stop me. Would you like to see how that story ends? Gaze upon the future that awaits you, should you defeat me.
Leave them alone!
After you finish with that small cutscene, now we need to basically break the Forsaken's stomach. And he's gonna shoot an energy beam. You can hide behind this box just to not take any damage. If the person being shot in your game, whether it be solo or multiplayer, is getting shot at, you can just hide behind there. You can use Reifier to shoot that little stomach, and then you fill up Maxis just as normal. She'll go to one of the energy cannons, and then you can shoot that energy cannon at his weak spot that you just broke, and then you do that one more time for the on the top of his head. There's another crystal that you shoot at, and then once you shoot that crystal, the boss fight will be over.
I always have been.
The frost comes today. You fools.
That is all you are good.
Once you finally shot the cannon at the top of his head and he starts dying, he's going to spawn in those crystals that you see on the left or right of me, and they're going to start damaging you. This will last for about like 15 seconds, and then the game will purposely down you. It's not that anything happened or anything went wrong. The game will down you on purpose, and there's nothing you can really do to stop it. And then once you go down, this cutscene will play, and congratulations, you've done the Forsaken boss fight.
Will not consume this world. Not as long as I am here.
Now for the rest of the video, the Easter egg tutorial portion of this video is done. Now I'm just going to show you how I speedrun Forsaken. My personal best is about like 24 minutes and 9 seconds, so I've learned to do this decently fast, and I could probably improve my time with some different luck, but the first step is like normal to get around like 15,000 to 20,000 points-ish as you can. This might take you to longer rounds in without the pumpkin event, since you get an extra 10 points for the pumpkins for the pumpkin event. But most of this Easter egg was played without pumpkins, besides just the points. I did not pick up any pumpkins or anything, so all the gameplay that you see is without picking them up. But once you've gotten enough points, head through the portal and then do the same thing that you normally do for the teleporter, getting the pieces to build the teleporter, the neutralizer, and basically the abomination. Once I'm at this point with the abomination, I'll pop my ring of fire. After a while, he'll do like a little animation first, it can't be damaged. I'll pop my ring of fire and then kill him. And then I'll immediately go disable the lockdown and then activate the small Easter egg cutscene.
Sub-level lockdown lifted.
After the Easter egg cutscene, I immediately go to Pack-a-Punch to get dead wire so I can go through the PhD zip line and then immediately activate the arcade cabinet. The reason earlier that I stated that you probably want to end the round is the little R60 that you spawn in can be really finicky with the zombies' hitboxes. So basically, it just touching the zombies will break often. So I'll just immediately go over here to the arcade and activate the cabinet, and then once I activate it, I'll end round, and in between rounds, I'll go with the little R60, grab the TV.
A monitor.
Before I explain this next part of the Easter egg or the speedrun that I do, I'll explain the ways to get the Crystal Axe. This speedrun tutorial is going to show you how to build the Crystal Axe and with your speedrun, so you have a 100% chance of getting it. But you can either build the Crystal Axe, get it from Legendary Trials, or if you're really lucky, get it from the box. But you just need the Crystal Axe for this Easter egg, and what I'm doing right now is once you hit the Easter egg little cutscene button, you need to go through 2 rounds to get your first Crystal Axe part to spawn, so you can start actually building the Crystal Axe and finishing the speedrun. And I just do it here because the little Crystal Axe part will spawn in the building behind me right now. In the gameplay, it'll spawn in Jim's Donuts, and once it spawns in, I immediately go do the little lockdown thing.
It is near Main Street. Should you want to investigate?
As soon as that little part falls in Jim's Donuts, I immediately step on this little thing to activate this like little lockdown type thing. You don't have to stand on it the entire time. It just spawns a bunch of enemies on you. So Ring of Fire is very, very, very useful for this lockdown. Basically, the stages of it are, it's going to throw a bunch of play counts and zombies at you, and then it's going to spawn 3 Tempests around you that you need to kill, and then once the 3 Tempests die, it's going to spawn 2 Mimics on you, and then once you kill those 2 Mimics, that little protective barrier will break, and then you can pick up one of the parts of the Crystal Axe.
This is not hard. I've been doing it a long time.
Once I'm done with that little Crystal Axe lockdown, I'll immediately go to the neutralizer right here, and I'll run through the stairs and around so that the abomination will spawn facing towards the wall that you need to hit him towards, which I'll show you what I mean right now. Once I get him to spawn in, I'll immediately have him charge and grab that little thing. Then I'll do a 180 and that crystal to your right there. One of the parts for the Crystal Axe is you need him to shock it, so I'll get him to shock that little crystal. And then once he breaks it, I'll pick up the little Crystal Axe part that it drops. It's the energetic geode. And then the last part you need is to just get a Tormentor to spawn, and then use a flamethrower on the Tormentor to kill it, and it'll drop a Tormentor's heart. Which a little trick you can do to spawn it in is that crystal that we just walked past by earlier. You can shoot one of the orbs and it'll start spawning in a bunch of special zombies like manglers, mimics, all that stuff, and sometimes you can get a tormentor to spawn, or you just have to basically wait till you get a tormentor spawn and then you shoot it with the flamethrower, which it costs 100 rare salvage, so just keep that in mind when you're doing the Easter egg. But once you have the Tormentor heart, then we need to go actually build the Crystal Axe. Once you have the heart that you either just got or got earlier in the Easter egg and you got lucky with the flamethrower, bring it over to this part called the particle accelerator. It's in the neutralizer. And then put it in right here, and then you need to basically get like 15 to 20 melee kills, which it has to be within like around like a 7 foot or 7 meter, sorry, radius in the game, so it has to be pretty close. Like you can't go past like right there in the gameplay, because like right there the melee didn't work. But if you're closer than that, it should work. And then once you have the crystal axe, we move on to the next step. Once I have this crystal axe, I immediately go through the neutralizer, and then it'll take me to PAP, and then I'll go over here and PAP it to either tier 1 or tier 2. Hopefully I can PAP it to tier 2, but that doesn't always happen in my runs. And then I'll go down here, or go over here by PhD, go down the zipline, and I'll immediately start the lockdown part. And usually here I show a like ether shroud skip that you can do. But usually I actually just stay in here, so as soon as the thing drops from the lockdown ending, I just immediately pick it up instead of just coming back and get in, having to wait. And after I immediately pick it up, I go start doing crystals, but there's a certain order that I do them in, so I'll show you right now. Once the lockdown is done, I'll immediately pick up the part and go through the teleporter. And I'll do the crystal at the neutralizer first, and the reason I do this is because it's the closest one to here, and it follows the path I want to do. And a little tip is to shoot the farthest orb the first time instead of doing the ones that are closer, because the more orbs you destroy, the faster they go. But if you destroy the lawn orbs first, or the ones that are like farthest away from the crystal, or take the longest orbit, you shoot those ones first. The other ones will get faster, but they have really small orbits, so they're a lot easier to hit instead. But once I'm done with this crystal, I'll go through the portal, go to PAP, and then I'll go to the spawn, and then I'll do that crystal next.
Resist that which cannot be stopped.
Once I've killed this abomination, for the second crystal, I'll immediately go through the little portal and spawn to where basically Jug is in the main street, and I'll go do that crystal next for my third and final crystal. Right here, after I've shot all the balls and stuff, I'll get my final crystal, and then I'll pick up the last one. And the reason I did it in the neutralizer spawn quick revive route is because once you're done with quick revive, you can immediately hop over this fence and build the neutralizer without having to run that far. And the neutralizer perfectly connects to where you've been from the fuel processing. So you pick up the fuel processing part, head through the portal, go to the neutralizer, get that crystal done, and then you immediately go through the neutralizer portal, go to Pack-a-Punch, and then go to spawn, go through that portal, and then get the spawn portal, or get the spawn crystal, I mean. And then once the spawn crystal is done, you immediately go through the portal again, go to the quick revive crystal, and then get that one. And then as soon as quick revive crystal is done, I go and build it, so it's all one nice, like, close and quick loop that you can do to do the crystals as fast as possible. For the Ethereum neutralizer part, I kind of just speedrun it as quick as I can. I'll just stay in the orb as fast or as long as I can so it doesn't stop, and I'll try to like pre-shoot some of the crystals on eye level. But for here, I get basically 2 Casimirs, as much Semtexes as possible, a death machine if I need it. I'll grab some armor, and I'll put some like shatter blast on my shotgun in case I need like a quick escape. But there's a very specific way that I do this boss fight that I like to do, and it's when I first get in to pop rain and immediately like decimate the shoulder pads that the Forsaken has. And then as soon as I do that, I'll basically go fill up Maxis twice and then shoot his shoulders and then get the cutscene to start. After I do the cutscene, I then, if I have rain again, I'll pop it and I'll immediately shoot his stomach, but I'll first hide behind this box to not get hit by the like eye beam that he sends out, and then I'll pop a ring of fire and I'll shoot his stomach. I'll get a little bit of Max's essence here if I can, but she'll usually move during this stomach phase because she basically says it's unsafe. So she just moved right there, or actually she just filled it up, which I was able to fill it up. And then I just used a laser cannon. Sometimes if she just stays right next to you, I'll throw a Casimir into her circle. and then get that to like charge up while I'm using energy cannon, but she didn't here. Right here, I'm basically throwing a Casimir into the middle of Maxis so she can basically charge up, and then I'm just running around getting my ring of fire back so I could shoot his head. I let that Casimir kind of get some of Maxis's level up, and then while she's charging up the gun, I'll run over here, kill this Mangler, kill a couple zombies, all that stuff, and then once I get my ring of fire back right here, I'll stay next to the energy cannon, I'll pop my rain, I'll shoot his head, so it's immediately done. I'll immediately climb up, shoot the laser cannon, and then shoot his head. So that's kind of basically the layout I have. I'll use my ring of fire for the two shoulders, I'll float Maxis twice, shoot just two shoulders, get cutscene to play, and then I'll try to get a new ring of fire and charge Maxis up at the same time, or I'll just use my ring of fire if I already have it to break his stomach and then shoot that, and then I'll use Casimir's to fill up Maxis for the last circle, and then I'll get my ring of fire as fast as possible so it can recharge again, and I'll be able to pop a ring of fire, shoot the Forsaken's forehead basically, and then just finish it off with the energy can. But that was how to basically do the Forsaken Easter egg and speedrun it. And if you guys want to know or see other videos of other Easter egg tutorials like Firebase, Mauer, D-Machine, maybe Outbreak, and how to speedrun them, just let me know in the comments, and have a good day, and see you all next time.